Welcome to the Nevcast, where three bros talk business, art, justice, and the pursuit of Jesus.
Any day above ground is a good day.
Get ready to laugh, cry, and kiss 30 minutes goodbye with Peter Nevland,
Dave Nevland,
and
Rashid.
Hello?
John Wenman.
Hey, John Wenman.
What's up? How are y'all?
Good. Usually we start these episodes by saying, Rashid! But sadly, Rashid cannot be with us today. He's working really hard, still going through, he's doing a lot of really cool stuff, but yeah, we miss him when he's not here.
Yeah, we're gonna hear about it pretty soon.
So we can't replace him with you, but we're interviewing you today, John.
Well, that's awesome. It's unfortunate. I've heard a lot of good things about it.
Yeah. So now, I don't know, have you ever met my brother? Have you ever met Dave?
No.
Yes, we have. Dave actually produced the first.
That's right.
Dave actually produced the first two radio commercials, and then remember we pulled the plug on radio.
Yeah, that's right. Because radio, where you are, radio was so crazy expensive.
Wait. What's the company again?
The TV was actually, cable TV was a better option for your ads.
Brooke and John with Wenbrook.
Wenbrook.
Oh, Wenbrook.
Yeah.
Oh, Wenbrook.
Yeah, they're out in Frederick, Maryland.
Right, okay. Oh, okay.
And how long have you been running your business, John, Wenbrook?
So we started as a commercial electrical contractor in 2016.
In 2016, so not that long ago. And then you started residential heating and air conditioning service, 2 years ago?
Right in the middle of the pandemic. I launched it right after they shut everything down in COVID.
Well, it turned out to be a good time.
Well,
yeah.
It's a good time for home services.
Good time
sure.
for home services.
Oh,
that's what I'm saying.
Oh my gosh.
It was a good time because everybody was in their house going, I don't want to live with this terrible furnace or this terrible air conditioner anymore. I'm going to be comfortable at least in my house. Yeah. So
yeah, it was a nerve-wracking experience to try and get that off the ground and not knowing what happened. And we just, trusted the process and move forward, and it's been a blessing ever since.
Yeah. So John, I want to talk about sort of how we got connected, how you and I got connected, and then I want to because that's just a really interesting story, and then I want to go back to talking about kind of where you came from. We might end up having 2 episodes out of this, but so first of all, maybe just how did you find me? Because I know you kind of emailed me out of the blue. So how did you come across me in the first place?
So I started doing some research as a new business in home services. One of the biggest challenges is call volume, right? It's how do you get your name out there? How do you build a brand? How do you create customer awareness? And I stalked some bigger companies. I say stalk because I was just doing my research as much as possible, and I found out that some of the fastest growing, most successful companies in the nation had one advertising partner in common, right? They had a certain plan. So I started one. It took me almost a couple months to figure out what the name of that person was. Right. And what the group was, right? So once somebody had just posted it on Facebook out of the blue, and it just said, oh yeah, they're a Wizards client, right? So then I started doing some research, and then I went to the Wizards page, and I finally found it, and I started going through everybody's bio. And once we were looking at it, I talked to my wife. I was like, we got to find somebody that's a good fit. We're just, we're bleeding money. We're doing radio commercials, but it's the radio commercials the radio stations produce, right?
Yeah.
And I'm throwing money at pay-per-click. I'm throwing money in a barrel, sitting it on fire just to get, anybody to call in to figure something out, right?
Yeah.
So we did our research and we came across you, and I was like, something feels right. I'm going to reach out. You were actually the only person I ever reached out to on there after looking at everybody's bio.
Yeah, which I feel honored about that, because I know my picture that's on there. And so the fact that you still reached out after having seen my picture, that must be something special.
It was more the words than the picture, right?
Right.
It was really black and white, right? Don't call me if you're this. call me if you're that, right?
Yeah, that's true. I say that. Yeah.
You know? So if you're looking for this, let's not waste each other's time. If
Yeah.
you're looking for this, call me. And I was like, that's the kind of, mentality that I have. Either we're going to do it right and we're not going to waste each other's time. Our time is valuable.
Yeah.
Let's do this thing together. If it's, I'm not going to do something and waste your time, my time, our money, right? Resources. It's not worth it.
Yeah.
So we reached out, and when I called you, right, we didn't have any money in the bank. Right? I'm spending everything.
And I didn't know this.
Possibly can, right? I'm spending everything I possibly can just to get the phone to ring.
Right.
Right?
It's what you
anything
do.
that comes in, right? My marketing budget was, astronomical.
Yes, it was crazy.
Some months it was over 22%, right? Just to get trash leads in here to just,
Well, and the funny thing was when I found out what you were spending on marketing, I was like, oh, well, this guy, he has money. That's my thought is you don't spend money unless you actually have it. And so, I have no problem saying, hey, you need to pay me, several $1,000s. I mean, quite a bit of money up front, and then, a few $1,000s a month. Right. And so when you heard that, because obviously we'd talked, and I loved your story, which I want to hear about a little bit more, but I loved your background. I thought, okay, I found out that you named your company after your wife. That's the Brook, with an E at the end, at the end of Wenbrook. And I was like, okay, that's really cool. This guy seems like a really good guy, really good leader. I'd love to work with him. And so I'm like, okay, well, here's how much it'll cost to work with me. And you said you had no money in the bank. So what did that do to you? How did you react when you heard that?
Well, I was like, that's a lot. Well, for us, it was a lot of money, right? It was like, I don't even know how we come up with that.
Right.
And my wife's always a more logical thinker, right? I'm the kind of guy that was like, okay, we'll move forward. I'll figure out a way, right? I'll get back in the truck, right?
Right. You are like that.
I'll figure out a way to have to come up with the money. And she was like, well, we don't have it. I was like, well, if we look at it, and I said, we have all these personal credit cards, and we try not to carry credit card debt. I said, I wonder if he'll take a payment plan. And he said, you never know until you ask, right?
Yeah.
So,
and I usually don't.
And I was like,
for the initial,
for the upfront fee.
And and I was at dinner with another one of the partners, and he said, you know what? The whole time I have ever known Peter, he's never done that before.
That's true. Yes.
And I was like, it was meant to be. I put the first installment down on the credit card, and I was like, look, that I can tell you, I'm going to pay you, but I'm going to do this. My wife wants to see what this is real deal. I mean, you're giving a person money before you even meet him face to face, right?
Yeah, that's the way we work. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like,
tends to weed people out, actually.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you have to choose, is this guy your guy, and decide.
And if I had a thing on a credit card, I would have just said no brainer, right? So I was like, well, okay, will you take this? Will you come meet me? Let's go to dinner, and then I'll give you the rest of the money once you get here.
Right.
And we had a great dinner. We talked, and I went home. Right. I said, babe, I think this is the guy. She's like, what do we do? I said, well, we got 2 credit cards that have enough room to do it. Let's do it, right? And she was like, well, if you think so, she says, if you, I know you're not going to stop until you make it happen. So just, I believe you can do it. Just go do it. And I was like, all right. So we put it. I made 2 different payments because I couldn't make all of this last payment on one card, and I made 2 separate payments, and then we started the relationship. So at this point now, we were getting started, right? And it was the beginning of the year, and I had no budge, right? I literally maxed out all my personal credit cards, right? And I was like, I mean, could I put it I could put it on the company, American Express, but the bill still comes due in 30 days, right?
Sure.
So
Yeah, and you got to pay
put it on there, I still got to pay it when it comes. And so I thought we were moving in a certain direction, and then we hit a hiccup right there in March when radio wasn't a good buy.
Yeah, because you came out for the strategy session, and I happened to be out in Sun Valley, Sun Valley, Idaho, and you guys came out and we met in a hotel, which I don't usually do, but it was right in the middle of my time with my family for that month, and so we had our first summary meeting. We go, okay, radio's the way to go. And then we go and Devin, who is our media buyer, he goes to start buying your radio advertising, and he comes back, and usually we get radio for 50 cents a person to hear a radio ad 156 times a year or more per year. So 50 cents per person reached 156 times or more per year, which is crazy. And he comes back and goes, dude, I can't get them to come down less than $3.57 a person. I'm like, that's crazy.
Wow. That's
crazy. We've got to do cable. And so we go to John. We're like, John, I'm sorry. We're going to have to do cable. And you're like, no, that's going to be even longer because now we're going to have to put more money out there to produce these TV spots ahead of time. And then it takes a little bit longer to turn around. So now the time from the time when we started to the time where we get ads on the air that actually start making a difference is longer.
Right.
I remember you telling me this story, and I'm like, I feel awful.
Because you didn't know this was happening.
I didn't know that they were maxed out.
Wow.
I didn't know that they were maxed out with their, credit cards and stuff, and that they didn't have any money. And you said
this was only 2 years ago, right?
Yeah,
2.5 years ago.
a year and a half ago.
So the problem is in the commercial world, right? Here's the problem: the commercial world, you make a bunch of money, but you don't ever see it because it's all tied up in account receivables.
Right.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So we knew the money was coming, we just didn't know when it was coming. Right. So on paper we make money, but in the bank account we're eating pork and beans. Right. So. And that was the huge problem. I had the money in receivables. If people paid me that day, right, and it wasn't 60, 90, 120 days, it's not a problem. The problem was cash flow, right?
Yeah.
So do we have the money owed to us? Yeah, but who knows when they were going to pay. So I'm still, 99% commercial at this time, right? All of it. And I'm not used to paying for,
things right now.
All this extra advertising costs, and now I've got a CRM software. I didn't need the office staff that I needed when I was just a commercial company, right?
Yeah.
I didn't need somebody answering the phones in a certain way. I didn't need a CRM system that tracked all of the guys' performance and being able to bill the customers and show face and uniforms and all this other stuff that you don't have in the commercial world. So I'm not used to, my overhead was a lot lower, right?
Yeah.
So I had minimal overhead going to, my overhead, is 100 times more on the service side than it is the commercial. And it's like, here, I'm bleeding all the money that, commercial, yeah, we have some money in the bank, we're able to do that, but I don't have all this extra overhead going out every month.
Yeah. And you said
what was killing us.
You found out that when you found out that radio wasn't going to be the thing, that we were going to have to go to cable TV, you came home and told Brooke, and you had an emotional response to that. Yeah,
so I had to leave the office as soon as that meeting was over, and I drove about a mile down the road to Roy Rogers and just broke out in tears. I was like, I don't know what we're going to do.
Wow.
Yeah.
No, I said, we had just started a relationship with this guy. He comes back and says, now I got to pay, the production cost, right? And now it's going to be, now I got to fly somewhere, right?
Right.
And get TV done. How long is it going to take to get a media contract in place? How long is it going to take? And she just said, I called her. She knew I was upset. And she was like, what are you going to do? I said, I'll find a way. She said, I know you will. We'll figure it out. And then, we just, tightened everything up. I tried to, make every call count that we went to, even though if it was, not the greatest call, we just tried to maximize on everything, and we ended up getting through that.
And it's all turned around in a year and a half. I mean, we're going and blowing, and everything's good. We're not all in debt and everything.
Well, he reduced his advertising budget significantly, and
so
the first year we had a goal that he wanted to get to $3 million in his first year of residential service, and he got there and exceeded it just barely.
Yeah.
What was it, $100 or something?
we did. I'll tell you exactly what we did. I'm always saying we did $3,061,000.
$3,061,000 in your first year. That's just
first year. Yeah.
incredible.
It's incredible, but it's not incredible to me. I've worked for Roy for 20 years, and I hear these stories all the time. I mean, yeah. For every
Not running a single. I've never run a service call before in my life before I rolled this out. Never. I was all commercial jobs there for 30, 60, 90 days.
Right.
Bid the project, be the lowest out of 3. Right. Push harder to be more efficient than everybody else so you can make money.
But what's so cool is that, like, so for me, just talking to you, like, I believed in you. And you have a wife who, you guys have been through stuff. You told me some stories about some of what you guys went through as an early couple going through, and how she stood by you, and she stood by you again. And it was even, there was some wild stuff that doesn't usually happen with my clients, because we were at that meeting in Sun Valley, Idaho. And at the end of the meeting, I feel like God starts telling me, hey, I have something for you to share with them. And I'm like, oh, okay. And so I told you, you remember what I told you guys, John, then?
I know you quoted a specific verse, but I don't remember the exact verse that you had quoted.
It was a verse out of Ecclesiastes. I think it's Ecclesiastes. It's either that or Proverbs. I don't know, really. But it says...
same author.
Yeah, Solomon.
Probably.
It says, the blessing of the Lord makes one rich, and he adds no sorrow with it.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I know this verse a lot, but I feel like I need to say this to them. And it turned out that verse was totally speaking into Brooke, where she was, because she had some fears about, hey, as they grow, because John, I mean, you don't have like a small vision. You're not like a small vision guy. I mean, how big are you wanting to grow this thing?
We're trying to get to 100. So
100 what? 100, not 100,000.
No. We're trying to get to 100 million.
$100 million a year. Right. Is the goal, right? And so her fear was that,
yeah, baby, yeah.
Her fear was that it would change you if you got all that money coming in, right?
Yeah.
Right. Interesting.
And right. So it's
coming from family.
There's a certain trait where where we came from, not having much to, when money changes people, and she's seen it change people. So she was just afraid that I wouldn't be the same person if we got too big.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like God comes in and just speaks right to her heart, through unwitting. I had no idea of that background, but God just says, tell her that verse that you've been thinking about lately. And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll tell them this verse, It's like in a business meeting, right? Which I love that, God cares about what's happening in a business meeting as well as what's happening in a worship service.
Or a family
or a family gathering or whatever. All of our lives are important to him. And he wants to be part of every part of that. And then on our first phone call that we had after that meeting, God gave me another word for them. To give to them on that phone call. And so then the third phone call, y'all just kept you were staying on the call, hanging on the call. And I was like, all right, bye y'all.
Brooke was like, she was like, I wonder what he's going to say today.
Yeah, right. What's going to be the prophetic word today? And I was like, I don't have another one.
Is any of these things that Peter did, is any of that in your background, either one of your background, or no? Or is this out of the blue in a way? Or I don't even know. John?
What do you mean by that question? I'm not
I
sure if I understand.
A person sharing a scripture and it meaning something to you, is that in your family background, or you're growing up or anything like that, or is that out of the blue? Have you ever heard anybody doing that? That's what I'm asking, I guess.
Oh, so we didn't grow up. We didn't grow up as people of faith.
Okay.
We were both a little wild childs.
Yeah.
We didn't start following the Lord until right 3 months before we were married. To be honest, we weren't even together.
That's a good come to Jesus time when you're about to get married.
Yeah.
Okay, keep going.
So we weren't even together 3 months before we got married, and we were going to have a baby.
Yeah.
We already had a baby, right? So we weren't married, and we weren't together. We were actually in couples counseling to try and make it work. And the pastor that was counseling us says, "You know what? You guys are meant to be together." And she was like, "No, that'll never happen."
Wow.
Right? And then I get a call from him the next day, and he was like, "You know what? I had a vision last night. You guys are going to get married in 3 months. I need you guys to come talk to me."
Wow.
And so we drove to him, and we prayed about it. And she was like, "Yeah, we're supposed to get married on November 23rd, which was 3 months away, right?" And the funny thing about it is that was her grandma's birthday. And her mom got married on her grandma's birthday,
wow,
which is in April.
Yeah.
So,
wow.
So when she was like, "Yeah, November 23rd." So for this time, we didn't have any money. I was working at Home Depot making $14.50 an hour, and we didn't have money we threw together a wedding. The church let us use the venue. We got married, dressed, everything, for less than $1,000. Probably,
wow.
if she probably told you, it was probably like $700,
That's
right?
amazing.
Between sandwiches that we made. She bought a dress. We couldn't afford to go to a dress shop, right? So what she did is she took all her measurements, right? I remember her taking all her measurements, and she found this place in China on eBay, and she took all her measurements and entered it in, and we spent like $175 on the dress because that's all we had.
Wow.
And 2 weeks before the wedding came, the dress came, and it fit perfectly.
Man, there was so much that we're getting into right here. So we decided to make this a 2-part episode. So join us next week on the Nevcast with John Wenman. That's it for the Nevcast this time. Join us next week when we talk justice, business, and art in pursuit of Jesus. We will see you soon.